one of the things that we looked at was something called VAWG, Violence Against Women and Girls.
Right.
It's a strategy that was originally created under Theresa May.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you are being sexually abused by a woman, then you are a victim of violence against women and girls.
Very sensible.
Because they made sure that violence against women and girls is a term that describes all intimate partner violence and all domestic violence.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you hear that, let's say there were 3,000 victims of violence against women and girls, then quite a large proportion of that will be men.
Which I didn't know that.
Yeah. When I saw that, because when I first became a men's rights activist, I listened to some other MRAs and I was like, oh, they're really angry. Some of them are quite angry and they blamed almost everything on feminism. And in the beginning, I thought that's a bit much and probably a bit paranoid. Then I started looking into legislation and I could not believe it. We are now quite often communicating with the Home Office. It's packed with intersectional feminists.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. The things that they not just promote but also defend. I tried to start a lawsuit against a consultation earlier this year. It was a consultation to inform the new Violence Against Women and Girls strategy. And this consultation was open for all victims of violence against women and girls, including men.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Obviously, all the advertisement for this consultation only had women depicted on it.
But note the framing of this, because the framing is purely that it is men doing the victimizing.
Of course, that is the intent.
Men can't even be the victims, because men as a class are the victimizers.
Of course, absolutely. And that's the intention. Now, organizations like my organization or Mankind, which is the British male domestic abuse organization, they told all their Twitter followers, please fill this out. It's super important. Fill it out, fill it out, fill it out. And we did. And 10% of the responses actually did come from men. But when you actually went onto the website for the consultation, you had to read 3,700 words into the description of the consultation to see that it was also for men and boys. And up till then...
Why would you have thought that up until then? Because it's all framed for just women.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the Home Office did say, it's absolutely open for men and boys. It even says it. We're promoting it for men and boys.
On line 367, you didn't read that far. I mean, that's your own fault.
Absolutely. And if you try to fill out the consultation, the questions were framed, usually violence against women and girls, this term is actually shortened to VAWG, which actually makes it a bit more gender inclusive because at least you don't have to...
At least it's an acronym.
Exactly. Yeah. But in this consultation, it was always written out. And the questions were asked, do you think that there is enough support for victims of violence against women and girls? Now, as a man, how do you fill that out?
That's a very good question.
Because if you say, yes, there is enough support because there's millions and millions pumped into the domestic abuse sector for women, then you're practically saying, I don't need more help. If you say, no, there's not enough support.
And more to the feminist causes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which it was there. I have to give them that. They're smart.
They are.
They're
very smart. And they've been working very hard for a very long time.
Absolutely. And they have people in all positions of power to make sure that nobody challenges them. After you remember the very tragic and horrible murder of Sarah Everhart, the consultation stopped the week before her murder.
Oh, really?
Yes, because that was when it just ran out.
Yeah, it just finished then,
And then it was reopened.
Of course.
And then 10 times as many people filled it out, 10 times as many, almost exclusively women. So before that, we had actually quite a few men putting their experiences in. After that, we were just completely washed out by the sheer number of I don't like, well, in this case, I'm going to use the term hysterical women that were pushed into fear by something absolutely abhorrent that is incredibly rare and
it's the
happening to
media
one
narrative.
person.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we don't know that there was anything to do with like bigotry against women or anything like that.
He was a sexual deviant.
Yeah, exactly. He seems to have been a freak.
Yeah, he was a monster. Yeah. And what is quite interesting is that there are certain positions in the government that are overtly feminist, even though they shouldn't be. The so-called Victims Commissioner, London Victims Commissioner, and Domestic Abuse Commissioner, all three, of course, women, and all three in cahoots with Women's Aid and other organizations. And it's a big mafia. It really is a huge mafia.
Well, we know this. They're connected to a bunch of Labour MPs who used to go after Philip Davies for opposing feminism. We know, and I actually read Jess Phillips's book where she talks about the kind of feminist mafia. I can't remember the exact term she used. It wasn't that, but it was something very similar. It's basically, that's what she's saying. We've got,
but proudly, I would assume.
Absolutely. It's something like a feminist network or something in Parliament that we use. It's like, right, okay, so you've got this kind of ideological organism that's working through MPs that connecting various parts of departments together in opposition to people like Philip Davies, purely because he is not a feminist.
Absolutely. And we are seeing that all the time. There has been a domestic abuse bill going through Parliament for the last year. And we are very, very active trying to fight for gender equality or gender neutrality in the bill.
Because that's the ideal, isn't it? You don't need to have necessarily anything that's steeped in gender roles. Like if there's a domestic abuse, who cares which way it's going?
You're 100% right. There is absolutely no reason why it should be gendered. No reason at all. You can make one or two comments in the guidance saying, and to be honest,
more often it'll be women who are being abused by men. Yeah, sure, that's true.
Not necessarily, to be honest.
But you know what I mean. Like, you know, if that sort of, a few notes, by the way, this is what you should look out for. But, this is the, again, gender neutral is fine when it comes to that.
And in all fairness, and we have to celebrate small victories, the act itself is gender neutral, and it's actually pretty good. The guidance, on the other hand, that's where the feminists are trying to put their stuff in.
To watch the full video, please become a premium member at lotuseaters.com.